Well, folks, welcome to I guess this would be the first episode of the Monday morning recap. Um, just going to talk about a couple of games today. Again, if you're watching this, you pretty much only care about the Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay Packers. We're also going to discuss a little baseball today. So, Sunday was a much, I guess I would say, better day for our beloved Minnesota Vikings. However, the Vikings fall to a dismal 0-3 at the hands of the Tennessee Titans, losing 31-30. Now, a much better game for the Vikings overall. However, we did have a little heartbreak, as we're used to, with our Vikings. Just kind of going over things. It looked pretty good in the first half. They were playing well. And second half wasn't too bad. Third quarter was pretty solid. But then in the fourth quarter, they absolutely imploded. And that last drive of the game, in my humble opinion, should be the last drive that Mike Zimmer should be head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. I'm done. I'm done with this garbage. I've been on the Zimmer train for a long time, and since he was hired. But after that fourth quarter, after that last drive, there's no reason whatsoever that a 3 and 4 man rush while the defense is playing prevent coverage, basically, that you should basically be sacked 4 times in a row. The first pass, you get the 15-yard hands to the face, you're at the 40. You're in good shape. You got like a minute and a half left, and you're in good shape. And then all of a sudden, our offensive line can't block. We're not rolling Cousins out like we need to be. And to be quite honest, it was the worst set of play calling I have ever seen. So again, our Vikings fall to 0-3 after a 31-30 loss to the Tennessee Titans. Looking at some stats, Cousins had a decent day, going 16 of 27 for 251 total passing yards, had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The last interception was just kind of a throw it up, and Thielen almost caught that ball. But couldn't quite reel it in. Well, there was like 6 defenders around him. But Kirk played better. I am going to give Kirk Cousins one more game. That's it. One more game. And then I'll be done with him. Played pretty well, but he hangs onto the ball too damn long. If you look at, like I watched the Packer game last night, there is such a huge difference between the level of play of guys like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers to Kirk Cousins that it's ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers, he gets the ball. If it's not there, he's either chucking it down the field out of the grasp of anybody, or he's throwing it away, or he's rolling out. But Cousins is not doing that. He's sitting in that pocket. Now, I know he's a pocket passer, but he needs to roll out. He's actually much better in play action, rolling out, doing that kind of thing than most quarterbacks in the league, aside from, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and all of them. But Cousins, we need to win the next game, period. Or he needs to put up like 500 passing yards. There's no other way to put it. Didn't play awful yesterday, but did not play up to his contract. And that's what it really comes down to, because at this point, if you're getting paid that much, you need to start producing, or we could go with Nate Stanley and spend some money on that offensive line. But Cousins needs to play better. I'm going to give you one more game, Kirk, and then I will write you off. Dalvin Cook had a fantastic day. 22 carries for 181 yards and a touchdown. Ripped off a 39-yard touchdown run in I think it was the second quarter. Had a couple of other big runs. and really looked like the bell cow, or the guy that we paid all that money to, and just looked good overall. Um, but to be outdone by the Rook, Justin Jefferson, folks. I believe he arrived yesterday, played amazing, had 7 receptions, 175 yards, and a touchdown. Really played well. I was really impressed with him. I was starting to kind of wonder the first couple of games. He wasn't getting touches, but realistically, they had to start getting him the ball because Adam Thielen was getting double or triple teamed with that blanket coverage on him. And the Rook stepped up and did some big things. Had a big, I want to say it was like 71-yard touchdown. He just outran everybody into the end zone. So Justin Jefferson, fantastic game. Probably going to be rookie of the week or rookie of whatever they give him, and potentially NFC player of the week if Dalvin Cook doesn't get that honor. But was really happy with Justin Jefferson's production, and I think that he's only going to get better as he is only 3 games into his young career. Now, little side note, Justin Jefferson was the first Minnesota Viking to go for over 100 receiving yards in one half since, you guessed it, the great one, Randy Moss did it back in 98. That was against the Dallas Cowboys at Thanksgiving game, where he went like 3 receptions for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. So not saying Justin Jefferson is the second coming of Randy Moss, but yesterday was a fantastic game and was very pleased about that. Thielen, not much going on yesterday. He was getting a lot of attention thrown his way, hence why Jefferson was able to get the touches that he got and the yards. Thielen, 3 receptions for 29 yards and 1 touchdown, which was a nice, that one I will give Kirk credit for. He rolled out, he kept the play alive, threw Thielen open in the right side of the end zone, and it was a beautiful throw, beautiful catch. If only we could do that on a consistent basis. And again, the big issue for the Vikings, defense. Defense gave up, let's see here, 444 total yards and 310 passing yards to Ryan Tannehill. Now, Tennessee is known for running the ball. They run the ball like 70 to 75% of the time with Derrick Henry, who is a beast. But to give up 310 yards passing to Ryan Tannehill is absolutely hideous. It was awful. Our defense did play a lot better yesterday without having your top 2 cornerbacks, having arguably one of your best linebackers out, and Anthony Barr out for the season. I thought the defense played well. I thought they got a little bit gassed at the end, because that's when Derrick Henry started ripping off some, the 8-10 yard runs. Speaking of Derrick Henry, he went for 26 carries for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. His first 2 touchdowns of the year. I mean, keeping him to, what's that, about 3 yards a carry, I'll take it. 3 to 4 yards a carry, I'll take that for Derrick Henry. He is a beast. He could go off for a lot more yards than that if you let him. But defensive line played a lot better. Got some pressure on the quarterback. And I'm hoping that will only get better going forward, as Danielle Hunter will be coming off the IR this week and will be eligible to return. Who knows where he's at in his rehab status with whatever's ailing him, but I'm hoping that will help the defensive line get some more pressure, and that should take some pressure off of the cornerbacks and the defensive backs to not have to cover people for 10, 15 seconds at a pop. As for receiving, Khalif Raymond, yes, something called Khalif Raymond goes for 3 receptions for 118 yards. Coming into the day, for not just on the season, his career, he had 10 receptions for 182 yards. What can you say? That's all on the defensive backs. Harrison Smith did have the Vikings' first interception of the year, and he passed 400 total interception return yards, which moved him into second place, right behind Paul Krause. And it was, I want to say, his 22nd or 24th interception of his career, just cementing that he is one of the preeminent safeties in the league. Him and Anthony Harris are playing pretty good this year, and but you can't cover up for those terrible defensive backs. So Vikings lose 31-30, and probably should have had this game, honestly. Get the ball with just under 2 minutes left, and you're really starting at the 40 after the hands to the face of the quarterback call with about a minute and a half left, and then you just absolutely implode. And I put it on Facebook, hashtag fire Zimmer. You know who looks real good right now? Mike Leach. Mike Leach for Mississippi State was with Washington State. He's been around. His team just put up like over 600 passing yards on LSU, the defending national champions. Put up over 600 passing yards. Mike, come on, put on the purple and gold. Let's go from one Mike to another. From Mike Zimmer to Mike Leach. We need to either do something like that or go younger, because Zimmer is out of touch. I don't think he understands. He's supposed to be this defensive mastermind, but yet he can't. He's not making adjustments. Even though his team is young, his defense is young. You can't use that as an excuse. Just awful. And if what you're known for is defense and you're getting gashed for 310 yards from Ryan Tannehill, it's time to go. I'm sure he'd be a fantastic defensive coordinator or something, but I think it's time to retire on your ranch, Mike. I'm done. Like Mike Zimmer, good dude, just out of touch with the game at this point. If you look at other teams, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, all of these teams that are kind of up-and-comers have younger, more adventurous play callers, head coaches, and Mike Zimmer, old school, wants to run the ball 99% of the time. It's not going to work in today's game, period, even if you have a back like Dalvin Cook. You got to air it out. You got to have, you've got to give, and I don't think it's Kirk that doesn't want to throw the ball down the field. I think it's Zimmer's offense. It's either check it down or throw it 5 or 10 yards down the field. They just don't throw the ball far down the field that much. If you look at Rodgers, look at Aaron Rodgers, who's having an MVP type season. If it's not there underneath, he's just chucking it up. He's hoping somebody gets underneath it. And guess what? The Packers, let's move on to the Packers. We'll cover them a little bit. Packers Saints last night, it was a great game. And really looking at those two teams versus the Minnesota Vikings, there is such a gap in play. Such a gap. Packers win 37-30 over the New Orleans Saints. Rodgers goes 21 of 32 for 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards again. No interceptions either. You know my feelings on Rodgers, but I will give credit where credit is due. Aaron Rodgers having an MVP season. The Packers are, in my opinion, the best team in the NFC from what I've seen. They didn't have Devontae Adams. Guess what? Alan Lazard goes for 6 receptions, 146 yards and a touchdown. Aaron Jones goes 16 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. And what more can you say? You got guys like Jake Kummerow and just people you've never, ever heard of hauling in catches, unless you're a Packer fan, hauling in these balls. Mercedes Lewis, I think, caught a touchdown last night. Didn't he retire like 10 years ago? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a wizard. I said that a long time ago. He went to Hogwarts. He should say that he went to Hogwarts when they ask him where he goes to school, when they do the little thing at the beginning. But Aaron Rodgers is, I don't know if it's kind of like that one last hurrah got to get another Super Bowl before he retires because he's getting up there. He's going to be 37 in December. But Aaron Rodgers playing out of his mind, looking like the Aaron Rodgers of old, which I'm not happy about, but it is what it is. On the flip side, Drew Brees, who's just as old, I think he's older actually, goes 29 of 36 for 3 touchdowns, over 300 yards. And guess what? No interceptions. Now, Drew Brees has a fella named Alvin Kamara, who he's not getting much run in the running game. They're leaning on Latavius Murray, the ex-Viking, to kind of hammer the ball. Because Kamara only had 6 carries, but he had 58 yards on those 6 carries. That's close to 10 yards a clip. But he had 13 receptions for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had one last night where they swung it out to him in the flat. Looked like it was going to be no gain. Oh, whoop, 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 whoop. And he's in the end zone for like a 52-yard touchdown. And it was a good game to watch. Very competitive down to the end. I will say that I did turn it off. After with like 3 minutes. It was probably 3-4 minutes left. The Saints had gotten to like midfield, and then they went through it. Then they had to punt it away. And I said, you know what? Aaron Rodgers is not going to blow this lead because he's not Kirk Cousins, and Matt LaFleur is not Mike Zimmer. And so I turned it off, and guess what? They won anyway. So the Packers, like I said last week, until somebody beats them, they're the favorite. Aaron Rodgers looking amazing, looking like Aaron Rodgers of old, which it is what it is. Not real happy about it, but they're playing pretty fantastically. So the Bears, just going to touch on it. They win yesterday. They're 3-0. How in the hell are they 3-0 with that quarterback deal? Trubinsky gets pulled after they're down 3 scores. Well, Nick Foles comes in and brings them back. They beat the Atlanta Falcons. And then the Lions, they get their first win of the season. So the Minnesota Vikings are the only 0-3 team in the NFC North. And next week they will face the 0-3 Houston Texans, which who knows what'll happen there. Danielle Hunter will be back, and something's got to give. Somebody's going to get their first win of the season. So we shall see next week if we can get off the schneid and get that first W of the season. Now, for the good news, folks, the Minnesota Twins Go Twinkies are your back-to-back AL Central Division champions. They kind of back into it with the Cubs taking care of the White Sox yesterday as the Twins lost, I think, 5-2 to the Cincinnati Reds. The Twins finished their season 36-24 and will play the number 7 seed Houston Astros starting on Tuesday at 1 p.m. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch a whole lot of Twins games this year. I did follow them to see, if they won, if they lost, that kind of thing. But they played pretty solid. Their pitching has been good. They've been hitting the bombas like we thought they would. But back-to-back division championships since 2009, 2010, and looking good going into the postseason. I believe they won 7 of the last 10 and had the second best record in the American League. And looking forward to the postseason for the Twins. Like I said, didn't watch them too much. Did see all the highlights. Byron Buxton is Byron Buxton. He's looking great. Nelson Cruz, probably in his last year, his last hurrah. And it's all going to come down to pitching. And looking forward to it. So that's about going to do it for us here on the Monday Morning Recap. Until next week, Skol Vikings, roll the boat, Sky-U-Ma, go Gophers, and go Twins.